This week, we asked you to come up with suggestions for a GT countdown. User MyxeQ suggested our favorite, the top 10 unfinished stories, which we've renamed the top 10 unresolved cliffhangers, to be more specific. No matter what the likelihood is of any of these franchises telling another tale, these 10 endings let us nowhere fast. We certainly recalled our share of abrupt conclusions and confusing revelations, but to be on this list, there had to be an obvious intent to keep the story going. These are our favorite, never-ending stories. Advent Rising crushed many gamer expectations. Publishers were forced to cancel a contest for $1 million once they discovered not all participants would be on an equal playing field. Even more disappointing was the unfulfilling ending that dropped the protagonist Gideon onto a harsh, snowy planet where he's saved by a complete stranger and dragged into an unknown future. Promised as a trilogy penned by Ender's Game author Orson Scott Card, Advent Rising instead pushed MyxeQ Entertainment, the developers of Blood Rain, into further obscurity.
My vengeance ends now.
Zeus is dead, but so is practically the entire Greek pantheon. Even Kratos himself gets a little self-stabby. Looks like a fitting conclusion to Retribution, right? Kratos' self-sacrifice opens Pandora's box, releasing hope into the world. Hunky-dory, except for that post-credit sting with Kratos' corpse gone, and a bloody trail leading to a most literal cliffhanger. This is one story on the list that we might see a resolution to, but we have to ask, what gods are left to slay? The Conduit was all about weird alien conspiracies tied to Washington, D.C., and the second game continued directly from a cliffhanger in the first. Still, nothing could prepare us for the crazy conclusion to Conduit 2. After you defeat a faction of incognito aliens led by John Adams, a spaceship sets course for Earth. It's clear that things aren't over, but simultaneously, a group of figures emerges from the Conduit to help, and players are simply left in shock by the sight of their leaders. Yes, that's George Washington and Abraham Lincoln decked out in full battle armor. Roll credits. Dealing with source material that dabbles in religious undertones and fringe fantasy fiction, the sprawling story behind the Darksiders games secured a cult following and set itself up to be an ambitious trilogy, although now, the franchise is caught in limbo. In the first Darksiders, you played as one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse war. In the second, you assumed the role of Death, and as alluded to in the ending to Darksiders 2, you'd be enlisting as Strife or Fury, or perhaps both, in a potential co-op follow-up in Darksiders 3. The foresight to create an epic trilogy was definitely there. However, with the unfortunate demise of THQ, the developer of Darksiders, Vigil Games shut down completely, with the franchise assets finally being sold off to Nordic Games. Fans will have to say a few prayers and take a leap of faith if Darksiders 3 ever sees the light of day. The Knights of the Old Republic franchise placed heavy emphasis on story, and the plot held up through most of Knights of the Old Republic 2. But at what felt like the midpoint of the game, the final boss appeared out of nowhere. After a brief fight, players were told the fates of the main character and his companions, and the game ended. The real story here is the publisher demanded a Christmas release, so the developer ended up cutting huge parts of the game. In the years since the game's release, groups of fans have painstakingly recreated much of the missing content, demonstrating the lengths gamers will go to find resolution. The MMO, Old Republic, is a prequel, so this brief summary is the furthest we've ventured in BioWare's Star Wars universe. Too Human was supposed to be the opening chapter of a mega blockbuster franchise. Set in a unique future past world of cyber technology and Norse myth, the story spent its time introducing the techno-Norse cyber gods and setting up storylines for the next two games in the trilogy. But horrible controls and poor game design resulted in abysmal sales, and the rest of the series was cancelled. So Too Human remains forever a story with a beginning, but no middle or end.
'Tis a fate we all aspire to.
A grievous loss.
Beyond Good and Evil concludes with Jade inciting a revolution, defeating the alien High Priest, and rescuing those that had been abducted and enslaved for their spirit energy. But what happens next with this dramatic social upheaval? A post-credit scene showed her porcine friend, Paige, had been infected with an alien spore, yet in the teaser trailer for Beyond Good and Evil 2, he's carrying on as if everything were business as usual. Speaking of which, that was 4 years ago. There's clearly more to tell here, it's just a question of when, and if, it's going to be told.
10 seconds to ignition. Is everything ready?
The story behind this story is almost as tragic as the story itself. Mega Man Legends 2 ends with Mega Man stranded in space, leaving Roll and Tron Bonne to build a rocket ship in some adorable, unlikely alliance. The series ended there for 10 years until we were finally given a peek into the character's fate as Capcom graciously announced Mega Man Legends 3 for the Nintendo 3DS. Then Capcom Capcomed. After a few months, the company determined that not enough fans participated in its bizarre user-generated developer room, and the entire project was canceled indefinitely. Good luck up there, Mega Man. It's gonna be a while.
What is that poem?
It has been told in the village from long ago.
Originally conceived as a 16-chapter saga, the Shenmue series ended with just 4 over a decade ago. Over the years, rumors have spread, online petitions have reached hundreds of thousands of signatures, Shenmue 3 has been announced and cancelled numerous times, and lead character Ryu has even made his way into other gaming franchises. Perhaps the most tragic side of this tale, however, is that series creator Yu Suzuki has the entire story finished, and desperately wants to share it with us. Whether it's in the form of a game or another medium entirely, we doubt fans will ever give up on hoping for a proper finish to the beloved franchise.
Good idea. She could well make another attempt.
Oh no. Dad! Gordon! Help!
Disciples of Gordon Freeman have wanted Valve's shooter series to continue based on the merits of its amazing games. Pouring salt in this wound we've nursed for 6 long years is the heart-crushing cliffhanger we were subjected to at the end of the excellent Half-Life 2 Episode 2. All signs pointed to an Episode 3, and when those faded from view, we began waiting for Half-Life 3. Now we just settle for a short film or even some decent fan fiction to give us some sort of closure. Hopefully G-Man will have some more answers the next time we meet.
Sure you have everything you need.
I think so.